I'm not going to say a single word about the Tennessee Titans record against the Indianapolis Colts because I was a punter, and there's no reason for me to talk about that. With that being said, we did not punt much against the Tennessee Titans, so you probably have no clue who I am to begin.
Look, I'm unstoppable. Forget your defense, nothing but an obstacle. Run it back, switch it up, call it audible. Serving up them Hail Marys till the game over with the showstopper. So hot, you gotta blow on it. I said I'll huff and I'll puff, then I'll pass to my left while I'm looking to my right. Hit him right in the chest. It be looking like magic. Better give me the throne. I ain't talking about Patrick, but I rep my home. I'm never at the end of my zone. I'm bad to the bone. Eating up these pig skins like they chicharrones, and you a douche cabron. Mira, mira at the mirror on the wall. I'm the greatest of them all. They gon' put me in the hall. Your name is only written in a bathroom stall. Quit your stalling and make a play. My drive too long, pop the clutch, I don't pump the brakes. I know what it takes to gain the muscle, get rugged. These butterfingers be fumbling, squash the scrimmage and rub it in Robitussin. How I give them concussion, they seeing double, they rushing and pass the shovel, the dirt and rubble, I bury them under it. Stay in your huddle and get 10 yards back, never turn your back. I'ma pull your flag, I go full contact, out punch, out kick like a shotgun.
Yeah. Welcome back. Listen, we are back, and we have not only a special guest, but we have a very special episode today. So make sure you are liking, commenting, sharing. If you're watching from YouTube, welcome. Invite your friends, share from there. Make sure that everybody's subscribing because quite frankly, I'm sick of this shit. But the thing is, we're gonna have an open and honest discussion. We're gonna talk as family today, okay? We're gonna have a lot of transparency, okay? No matter which version you like, whether it be Chris Brown's version or Usher's version, we are going to have a lot of transparency on this episode. So yeah, make sure that you're liking, commenting, sharing. We already got comments rolling in. Sarah says, "Where's our secondary help, really, Ballard?" You know what, Sarah? You're correct. Appreciate you. All right. So yeah, let's make sure that we are going and doing this. But in the meantime, for everybody who's already here, welcome back to the HorseShoe Mob Podcast. We're bringing you everything Colts, and normally we leave the slander to the Titans, but I feel like there's some more slander that's going to need to be made today. And you know, I don't care if it potentially loses me opportunities to be insert people in the room. I'm sick of this shit. But you know what? We're gonna get to that later. Let's make sure first off. Go to www.fanbattlesports.com for all AFC South related content, but you're only here for the Colts, so you'll go to the Colts related contents. Make sure that you'll be able to see past episodes, articles, everything that you need to see regarding the team is all on that website. So yeah, www.fanbattlesports.com. We're gonna get to the guys, and then we're gonna get to he's a familiar face, but he's still a special guest. He's family, right? So yeah. So first off, we have with us Harish Nukala.
But we like the group we have.
Thank you for that, Harish. We appreciate you.
Bro, what?
We have with us the silent assassin himself, Austin Cook.
What's up? I'm Austin.
We have the man who finally figured out how to work all this new technology. We have Josh Sr.
It's old head to you.
Old head. Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
I'm an OG now.
Fair enough. I ain't gonna fight you on that, OG. I'm Chris Jackson, as you know. But yeah, we have a very special guest from the Sick Podcast Anvil Show, the man that you might see on a flight in or out of the country. We have with us tonight, once again, Sick Podcast Anvil Show's very own Clyde Oliver. Welcome back, Clyde. We are glad to have you again.
Hey man, I appreciate it. I just upset that I ate my popcorn before we started because I feel like y'all really about to get after it. I need that.
Might need another bag.
No, y'all really about to get after it. So
you might need another bag.
Listen, I got my uptown from Whataburger, so I'm going to be wired. All right,
I'm ready.
Hey, well, y'all have Whataburger in Kansas City?
Yeah, only because of Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, that makes sense. Welcome to the club.
Appreciate you. pretty
That's
damn
some
good too.
Whataburger.
Yes, I mean,
Yeah.
I appreciate it out here, man. But yeah, so you know, we're not gonna get to the obviously. We're not gonna do what you think we're gonna do and just flip out immediately. First, let's talk about this, right? So over the weekend, we get tweets in the morning, news coming over. Oh, it's on good sources. Sneed's coming over, 3rd and the 5th. Only thing that they're hammering out is contract details, right? So that's one of our sources, one of our reliable sources. So we're like, oh, so this is actually really happening. So as Saturday goes on, people started to get behind the idea. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you have, some of the bigger media guys saying, no, that's never happened. There hasn't been any discussions. So then we're thinking, okay, so what the hell is really going on right now? So then we go through this 48-hour news cycle where basically everybody's chomping at the bit and ready to rip each other's heads off. I know there was one fan who said that he was receiving death threats because of what he tweeted early. Yeah, because of what he tweeted early on. And of course, we don't condone that because at the end of the day, it's fandom, it's sports. But somebody saying information on Twitter is never worth anybody actually losing their life because that's crazy talk. So first off, let's just really quickly bracket that. Let's be better. All right, let's be better when it comes to that. Now back to this. Now we got the big media guys. Adam Schefter said that there was never any talks. There's never anything that was going on. Diana Rossini, she says there were talks, but they broke down. And in true fashion, L'Jarius Sneed is still a Kansas City Chief and in Kansas City. And yeah, so where were you when all the mayhem dropped? Clyde. We'll start with Clyde first as our guest.
I was like this for like 6 hours. Literally, I was like, come on, because I want to be one of the first ones to be like, we did it. And then I got tired. Like, I started getting fucking carpal tunnel. Like,
yeah.
So ergonomically, I had to put my phone down and just be like, you know what? I've been bamboozled. And so then I made a comment, not to be snide or anything, but I'm like, see, maybe perhaps this is why the Adam Schefters and the Ian Rappaports of the world, Tom Pelissero, these dudes get paid a lot of money by, really big name companies. And so therefore, perhaps maybe we should not always try to be the first ones to get the info insider wise and wait till the insiders tell us. So then I kind of just felt like, well, maybe I'm bamboozled because why am I waiting to see what local people say when I should be waiting to see what Schefter says? You know what I mean? So then I kind of just was like, let me drink it off. And I did that. Because now have you heard that in the last 24 hours, another rumor mill is that Sneed has talked to the Titans. And man, I'm going to just leave that there. So we never even spoke to him, apparently. But now he's supposedly talking to the Titans. Okay. Next person.
I'm gonna let one of y'all get to it because I'm reserving right now. Like I'm keeping it as like
as light as possible.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
Harish like he's gonna be a good time.
You're not gonna go undisputed on us.
Well, I won't be calling anybody a dumb F if that's what you're saying. I won't be doing that. However, I will have very scathing vocabulary to use.
Scathing vocabulary.
You sit down right now. You sit down. Put your shirt back on.
I've been trying to troll the entire fan base.
Oh man,
I tried to troll him last night. It was awesome. He posted a chat of a group chat that I'm on in Twitter. I was like, who's the worst person in that group chat? So I'm like, on the group chat. I just wanted to see what he would say. He didn't respond, but
of course,
yeah, that's undisputed, man. That's a passionate guy. I want to shout him out for his passion.
Yeah, do that.
Cool. All right. Josh, what about you?
For what though? For what?
Passion for hating Ballard. Dude, a guy that can passionately hate a guy that much that he's never met before. That's some awesome stuff, man. That's crazy. Over some football.
True that. I hate Tom Brady. I never met him.
No, well,
Yeah.
that's personal. That has a lot to do with a lot of.
That's a little different.
So, yeah, let's just go ahead and you know. So you know what? Here's what we're gonna do, because Josh, Austin, I know that y'all have some things to say regarding the Sneed situation, and you know, like I said, it's a situation that was a situation that ultimately wasn't a situation apparently. And so yeah, so I want to get you guys' thoughts on that, because after that, it's gonna be hell. So go ahead.
I mean, you know, y'all don't know, but I was much like Clyde. I was waiting on my phone so I can break the news on our page. You know, be one of the first ones to do the same thing. And it just at that point, it's just like, okay, it's close. I'm like, okay, how close is it? I'm still waiting. I was like, okay, I even did some content just in case. Like, okay, well, did the jersey thing for Zaire Franklin. I was like, okay, yeah, it's real close. Zaire wanted, him and Country D. I'm like, okay, well, man, this is about to happen. Then everything started to die down. I started seeing, media and bloggers go at it, saying, for the last straw, it's not happening. It's like, okay, I guess it's not happening then. Big Daddy Holder talk. It ain't happening then. So let me just put my phone down. And so then come Monday, it's heartbreaking. I'm like, well, move on to the next person then. And we sign our guys back.
And I'm not a Holder person, by the way. Like, he's not the nicest dude, man. I've met him like a couple times. He's just not the nicest dude.
We had him on the AFC South Fan Battle podcast, and he was pretty cool. But
he did that daddy comment though, like, yeah, for the last, like he's like almost like he's like the last straw on last what he said, last note, like, damn, you hurt.
Y'all talking about Holder?
Yeah,
he's a changed man since he went to ESPN. He thinks he's cool.
You have to be. You have to be.
Yeah, I guess so. Because when I met him at camp, like 3 years in a row, bro, like he was always kind of like, y'all are the low budget dudes.
Yeah, he's not shitting on the people he used to be.
It's weird, bro.
It is weird.
So I was disappointed.
He did the podcast episode he did with us. He did from his study. There was a nice put together bookshelf from IKEA. I could tell it was from IKEA.
We made you, Steven. We made you.
He said, "Don't forget your roots." What about you, Austin? Like, because like I said, we were all. So where were you when L'Jarius Sneed was supposedly a Colt?
I mean, just like everybody else, I was glued to my phone, and then it wasn't happening, so I went and played disc golf on Saturday and Sunday. And then, I kept waiting and waiting, updating Twitter every few minutes, and it just didn't happen. Yeah, we all wanted him because secondary is a big need, but it is what it is.
Can everybody show their thumbs right now to see how swole you are?
Hey, bro, look, I refreshed my Twitter so many times, like close the app, shut the app.
Yeah,
I'm just still doing it right now.
Hoping the timeline refreshes. Just hoping the timeline refreshes.
Bro, it's ridiculous. I've never watched something like that. Like, I'm not even an ex dude. Literally, I just kind of got on there. I'm like, I don't even do Twitter like this. But I'm literally
you should be an ex. You married. You should be ex. You married.
Oh man, it's crazy, bro. So you talking about waiting and waiting and waiting. Like they say, 10 minutes later, 5 minutes later. Like, yeah, bro, sad.
Yep. Sean's right. We all did the same thing. But you know what? I'm not gonna drag this out. All right, listen. I'm not doing this shit. I'm like, I can't do this. I can't do this anymore. I
get the privilege of going last. Awesome, go for it.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna kick this off.
Go for it.
Because we went 9-8 last year. We went 9-8 with Gardner Minshew. I think our secondary ranked bottom 10. Pass rush, they put those sack numbers out there. Pass rush, I think, was maybe middle of the pack at best. So that right there should tell you, we need secondary help. We need pass rush. Now, of course, when you go into free agency, guys tend to be a little bit overpaid. That's fantastic. Now, supposedly, there were talks with Daniel Hunter. Where did he go? Division rival. And then on top of that, you let Julian Blackmon, regardless of what happened, you let him test the waters right now with the Bills, which means that you have Rodney Thomas and Nick Cross. Now, it's not to say that Nick Cross is bad, because Nick Cross was able to get in some starts, and he actually did pretty decent. But we know that Rodney Thomas had some struggles last year. Now, the overwhelming thought for me is that you're actually going to go and make a move on somebody who's just not a depth guy from another team. Now, the thing is, Raekwon Davis could do numbers, could do great things. But when Raekwon Davis and Joe Flacco are your claims to fame in free agency, when you know for a fact that we need help in the secondary and we need help in pass rush, and mind you, re-signed all your guys except for Julian Blackmon, who came from the secondary, which is the worst defensive unit that we have right now. And then on top of that, you know for a fact that you need pass rushers. But now, being that you didn't reinforce the O-line, because you did. Danny Pinter signed to a 1-year deal. 1-year deal. Fantastic. Sign your own guys. Fantastic. You have managed to sign every single person from every single group. Outside of that, man, you get Kenny back. Kenny being back is cool, because to me, Kenny's good. Kenny's decent. But then after that, you're going to have the young guys who started last year. You're going to have maybe some fringe guys, and then you're going to have Darrell Baker. And on top of everything that you've done, you've made zero progress. Now, mind you, there's a bunch of guys that you could have gotten. Jerry Jeudy got traded for a 6th-round pick today. So you mean to tell me that there's nobody in a decent secondary, that is going to do anything? Let's also remind you, who won the Super Bowl?
Kansas City.
Kansas City won the Super Bowl, right? They got rid of they got rid of a receiver that did not have a good year. And do you know how they went and made sure that they shored up things and said, let's see if we can re-up? They went and got Hollywood freaking Brown.
They good.
If the Kansas City Chiefs, having all of $37 for cap space, can go and get Hollywood Brown to make sure that they're reinforcing the receiving core and giving Pat Mahomes another weapon, why is it so difficult to go out there and say, hey, we're going to go and spend on a guy or two so that we can do this? Quandre Diggs is still out there.
I know why.
Is still out there. Like, that's a rhetorical question. So listen, let's be all the way real right now, because the thing is, we know that we do this every single season. Now, mind you, last season I'd say was a success, because the division came down to the very last game of the season, and even with that, you had Gardner Minshew at quarterback. You had numerous places where there were injuries. Okay. That's fine. Let's bring in veteran presence in some of these spots. If there was already a veteran signed, I would have been okay with that. We know that we need somebody in the secondary. I said it last week, and I'll say it again. Jeremy Chin went to the Commanders for 1 year for $5.1 million.
That's a hometown kid too.
What, and you 1 year, $5.1 million, knowing that you need secondary help, knowing exactly how you do with depth, but instead of going and getting somebody like that who can get on a 1-year deal, you let Julian Blackmon walk, and you're leaving all your hopes to Rodney Thomas, who got exposed numerous times last season. Now, mind you, we have the combine in Indianapolis every single year. Chris Ballard is at the combine every single year that he's been a GM. This right here, this wide receiver class right now is probably one of the most athletic, probably like one of the fastest groups that we've seen.
Don't say athletic. Don't say that.
And I'm sorry. I'm not going to say athletic. It's probably one of the most explosive groups that we've seen at wide receiver, and we're trusting Rodney Thomas to cover them over the top. What are we doing here? It's literally. It's Bargain Binsanity is the name of this episode. Matter of fact, I'm going to put it up for the people who are watching live right now. Bargain Binsanity is that, because you know what insanity is? Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. You know what the bargain bin is? Where Chris Ballard likes to get all these premium players that he will sit, and mind you, I wish I could do a prop bet. I can't bet in Missouri. Missouri has betting laws. I can't bet in Missouri. I wish I could do a prop bet to see what player he's going to say earned the right to start that literally has no right to start. And he does it every year.
Nobody's worse than Matt Pryor.
Clyde, where's the Omaha at?
Listen, hold on a second. Hold on.
But we like the group we have.
Listen. Let's talk about that because the thing is, he always likes the group that he has. He always likes the group that he has, right? And when he says he likes the group that he has, he's hinting at the fact that he's going with the exact same people that we've had this whole time. Now, mind you, we needed a veteran presence last year when Stephon Gilmore left the building, because Stephon Gilmore left the building, and then we just got a bunch of guys at some point or another because of injuries. Tony Brown had to start last year. Tony Brown is a special teams player. He's a special teams corner. He is a fast corner. He's a fast corner that can't really cover like that. And then guess what? He ended up getting benched for conduct unbecoming of the team. How is it that we go and we put Tony Brown on the field and we try to convince ourselves? And this is also what we do as a fan base. You know what we do? We say, well, you know what? Maybe they should just give him a chance. Let's just go with
it. Works so far. Look at how much great talent he's drafted.
And you know the wildest part about it, we will sit there, mind you, this is no slight, and I don't mean to make joke of this to anybody who's been through any type of domestic abuse, because that's definitely not what we do as a podcast, and we definitely empathize with you. But this feels like an abusive relationship. It feels like we just sit there and we continuously have to go and put up with the fact that we see these guys where we get an undrafted free agent or a guy that was picked in the 7th round from the Giants that couldn't make the roster, and we sign him to ours for depth. If the Giants of all teams, being that that their O-line is probably worse than putting 5 wet paper towel rolls out there to protect the quarterback, is terrible, and we're shopping on their O-line leftovers. If the Giants have O-line leftovers, I'm effectively going to say I want none of them. Because I don't care about scheme fit. I don't care about none of that. There's teams that are absolutely needy in some places, and for a fact that they just cannot get it together when it comes to those spots. But here we are again. So guess what? We now have the exact same roster back that we had last year, minus Julian Blackmon, adding in Raekwon Davis, and we still don't have a pass rush. We still don't have exactly what we need at cornerback. We can have depth all day, where he's going to bring in about 8 different depth guys. And guess what? One of them is going to end up starting. And you know what's going to happen to them? They are going to get absolutely demolished on live TV in 4K or 8K, depending on what type of TV you watch your football on. Like we right now are having to deal with the fact that we are told over and over and over again that this team is good, but also be told that we're building. Now, if we're good, why are we building? If we're good and the indicator of the team being good is the product on the field, why are we still building? If a team is good, then they're good. If a team is good and you add guys that you need, then they're great. The Texans went 10-7 with a bunch of guys that we didn't know the names of. We knew CJ Stroud and maybe Damian Pierce and Will Anderson Jr. And outside of that, they were a team that was able to be successful. And still, they went out and got Daniel Hunter. No matter what the contract is, you go and get Daniel Hunter. You go and get a pass rusher. Now, mind you, Autry. Like you went.
They added D'Amico Autry. That's now 2 division rivals that have added the same pass rusher. And actually a good one that he found in Goodwill. They actually went and got him.
And when you look at the moves that this division has made, when you look at the move, because we could talk about the Titans overpaid Calvin Ridley. We know that. But the thing is, they had a trouble spot at wide receiver, and they went out there and they remedied that. The Jags, they have trouble with everything every year, but they still went out and got a bunch of stuff that they needed. The Texans won division, and now their defense looks stronger than it was last year. And on top of that, they still have CJ Stroud. And meanwhile, what did we do?
Picked up Joe Mixon.
Taven Bryan for another year. Let me tell you about Taven Bryan.
But we like the group we have.
Taven Bryan was on the Jaguars, and he wasn't good enough to stay on the Jaguars, knowing that their defensive line is absolute garbage.
Yeah.
And guess what? Taven Bryan has survived another year being on our roster after we just randomly picked him up last year.
But Chris.
But we like the group we have.
So, Harish, don't you dare play that clip again. Don't you dare play that clip.
This is. I'm going to create more.
Chris, I knew that once we lost to Texas on that last play, that Ballard said, you know what, we can stick with this team.
I talked about this 2 weeks ago before free agency started. He literally said it, and I quote, "We will be aggressive where we think we will need to be aggressive." He literally told you what he was doing this offseason.
He said, if we find a go to Nugget, or go to whatever said, if we find a Nugget, sure, we'll get that guy. I mean, I guess Sneed is a Nugget. I guess Hunter was a Nugget. I don't know whose Nugget is right now.
So the only Nugget that we have right now is the one that Chris Ballard keeps on dropping off before he pulls his pants back up and wipes his butt, then pulls his pants back up. That's the only Nugget that we are being subjected to, because this is exactly what we do every single season. You're going into the draft saying that if you're going to remedy this team, and Clyde, you said it on the Anvil show. You said it on your show prior to this. You said you could have remedied one or two positions, and then you could have used this draft to go ahead and just supplement the others. And we talked about it last week. You could have gone defense with free agency, and we could go ahead and shore up offense and some more defense in the draft. But now, because of the fact that you want to be ineffective and you want to be inept, and you want to go ahead and just continue to just skirt by free agency as if there's not players in there that you can go and make sure that you get to be veteran present. I would love to have L'Jarius Sneed. I would love to have Xavier Howard, because to me, I feel like those are guys who can still play at a pretty high level, but also will be able to help supplement the development of a guy like Juju Brents, who's a physical corner, who's a taller corner. Because the thing is, for me, I love Kenny, but Kenny does not play the same way that Juju does. But if you get somebody in that can play similar to the way that Juju does, that means that now everything that he's going to learn through playing, he's going to be able to come in and do. And we're not getting that. What we're getting is going in believing that, and mind you, it's no knock to anyone specifically. Juju was the guy last year. I still think that he can be. But the thing is, you're sitting here saying that you're relying on talent and staff only to help these guys develop and grow, when you can actually bring in somebody who's battle tested, who's a veteran, who can actually be of service and make sure that these guys know. I would have loved to have Gilmore and then Gilmore with Juju before, because I feel like he probably could have just taught him a whole bunch of stuff, because those two to me are very, very close in terms of what they can do and how they're able to move. But you know where we are right now? The exact same secondary we had last year.
He's trying to use that Flowers injury as an excuse as well. I know you guys love Flowers, and he's played well. Is what year one, but I don't think that's the guy we should say, hey, you should be CB2.
He played well on special teams.
They all do.
He played well. He played well.
They're all special teams guys.
Let's also be real. We keep on. We literally and see, Josh. That's what I was talking about in terms of that abuse, because we are fooled into believing every single year that these guys are guys that can go out there and just do these things, and that we got diamonds in the rough, and that everybody's a gem, and this, that, and the other. When in reality, there's a lot of these guys that don't fit, that are just being thrown into these spots because of injuries. Dallas Flowers' biggest contributions to this team prior to this past season was special teams. The biggest play that he made was the play that he made in the Steelers game, when he had that run back in the second half, or I think first half or second half.
Yeah, the touchdown, right?
Yeah, it wasn't coverage. It wasn't anything like that. Dallas Flowers had a great special teams year.
Made him a starter.
And let's also be real about the fact that we are being told and we're being sold on these guys actually being people that we're going to go and have double-digit wins with, and we're going to be great with. And quite frankly, I feel bad for Shane Steichen because I feel like Shane Steichen can coach just about anybody. But
he's got to overcompensate again.
Yeah, exactly. And he's going to have, you know what? I'm going to take a break. I've been talking for more than 3 to 4 minutes. Go ahead, Clyde.
I got
while y'all do that, I'm going to share my screen. I want to show y'all something. I have something really cool to show you guys.
Oh, go ahead.
Let me see. Let me know if y'all can hear this.
Is that where we are?
That's what this offseason is.
I got a couple things.
Oh,
man.
Go ahead, Clyde. Go ahead.
So the first thing is this. So his ability to draft has put us in a spot where, I mean, I get it. They are who they are. We have 2 7th round draft picks starting linebacker, EJ and Zaire. Both of them have gotten contracts. Both of them started as special teams, right? So you keep talking about special teams, like things like that lead to this. Another thing. So this is one thing that I've heard Chris Ballard say over the years, and I've always disagreed on every podcast that I want. Sometimes I don't give a shit about competition in the locker room because I want my guys to be so good that there is no competition.
Undeniable.
You know what I mean? So like,
yeah, I like that. Yep.
I'm kind of like, well, damn, if QB or not QB, I'm sorry, if cornerback 1 go down, shit, yeah, we're in trouble. I don't want 2 tweeners that switch spots every week. Like that's what we do. I kind of that's what we did in the safety area for like the last 2 years. Like Rodney Thomas, Nick Cross. Then it was what was Buddy before that? Rodney McLeod. Like, bro, I'm tired of that. I'm done with that. And then the last thing. So this is what I've struggled with the most. The fact that he has done very well in the draft with certain picks, and you've had a core now for 6 years, and you have not improved in the free agency to make that core now say, we're going to go win. Q was going to a 7th year. Shaq's no longer on the team. Bobby Okereke is gone. And the list goes on of all of these players that we have drafted. They were great Colts. They either moved on or they're getting older. You don't, like I said on my podcast, you don't normally get 8 to 10 years to build it. One of his favorite sayings is build. You got to build it. You got to coach it. But like I said on my podcast, bro, like when you build a house, you're not building the house for the entire 30-year mortgage. Like you're going to repaint it at some point. You're going to add new flooring, update this. But those are the things that you should be doing in the draft. If you're always building it through the drafts, like you're never going to have a house.
Yeah.
So by the time we get the house, it's time to start another house because those guys are moved on, retired, whatever. Like, and we've wasted careers. That's how I look at this, bro. Like we are starting to waste careers. And that is frustrating as shit to me. 9, remember, was it 3 years ago? We had 9 Pro Bowlers. 9. We didn't make the playoffs. What?
We haven't made the playoffs since.
It's insane. It's insane. You had 9 and didn't make the playoffs. So that's where my frustration lies. You know what I mean? Like, cause it's insanity, right? To continuously think that this is like, no, you can't run the wing T in 2024. You're probably a FCS team if you do that. Yeah. Like you're not going to the bowl series or the playoff. I mean, running a wing T. So we got to stop thinking that we can keep building it with mediocrity. And eventually we're going to get it right because guess who's not going to be there? Like we're not going to be playing the Bears that we played in 2007. Like, no, like these other teams are stacked. If we go up against the San Francisco 49ers, stacked. Eagles, stacked. Like everybody is stacked. Like, no, man, we're not going to be. You have to get very lucky to beat what the Bengals were that year. We're lucky, and then they didn't. You know, as they say, they couldn't get it over because the Rams were stacked. It was a good game, but the Rams were stacked.
I mean, just to get there, it's stacked. Right?
Yeah,
forget who you play. Just getting there is going to be an ass. It's going to be a bitch just to get there.
10 years since we won a division.
Yeah, we can't even look. And listen, for the majority of those 10 years, it's been one of the worst divisions in football. I don't care what anybody tells me. Listen, I get there's a couple things that annoy me about Chris Ballard, like, and they're kind of glaring at this moment, right? One of the first things he told us when he got here in his first press conference was the teams are never built around one player. That's literally the first thing he tells us when he got here 7 years ago. Now we're 9 years into this. It's like, well, he never got to draft his QB until last year. So you're telling me, and it's just always like, I was confused by it because it's like, but this guy told us 7 years ago, and talking about Andrew Luck's injury, that teams are never built around one player. But now 7 years later, now you want to give us the excuse of, well, he just got his QB last year, but teams aren't built around one player. I saw the Jacksonville Jaguars with Blake Bortles win this division and go to the AFC Championship game with an excellent defense. So while he's building this team, you're telling me he couldn't put together a great defense with the core around it until he could get his guy. Houston walked into CJ Stroud. I completely get that. Look, that defense was pretty much put together minus a couple pieces last year. It was not a bad.
The defense was functional, and that's the thing. The defense was functional, but it was supplemented by the fact that they were actually able to just rally behind CJ Stroud, and he played out of his mind.
That's what you should do as the quarterback at that level. But then you have pieces around. But like you've already talked about this, Chris. They knew what they had. They had 10 wins this year. They knew that he's on a rookie contract, and they've delivered in trying to get it's a race to a Super Bowl when you have a rookie contract, right? When you have a quarterback on a rookie contract, it's the race to see how who can get the furthest, basically. Yeah. And Chris Ballard has done nothing but waste. He's wasted the prime of the core of this team.
Yeah.
And and that's the thing that pisses me off the most. You wasted really. DeForest Buckner maybe has maybe 2 years left of the prime of his career. Maybe 2. He has 1 for sure this year. Wasted the prime of his career. Wasted first round pick. Quentin Nelson is 28 now?
27, 28, yeah.
28. Okay, maybe 2 years. Ryan Kelly is past the prime of his career, I think. I think he's heading into a downslope. And Michael Pittman Jr. is now heading into the prime of his career, right? I mean, hopefully you don't waste those 2 to 3 years. Like the core of this team, Kenny Moore is on the downfall after probably a couple of years, right? So you built the core of this team in the draft, which is excellent. I give mad props for doing that. I've always given him props for being an excellent drafter. But his job isn't to be a glorified scout. His job is to be the general manager of the team. And as the general manager of the team, your job isn't only to draft well, it's to put together a great team to go win a Super Bowl. He has not even put together a great team to win a fucking division, yet alone the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's where I struggle too, man. Because you're supposed to be garnishing now. You got the steak and the potatoes, but you need the garnishes. We're still making steak and
unseasoned chicken, bro. That's what I feel like this team is right now. Like, it's unseasoned chicken. It's insane.
So hard.
Insanely bad.
So and you know, and Austin, I want to get your thoughts on this because I know it's just like you might go a little bit, easy when it comes to that.
Yeah. So I mean, we have obvious holes. Like we need cornerbacks, we need safeties. Our offense is built really well. I think we have a really good offense. We'll probably add a wide receiver in the draft. That is what it is. But yeah, we should have already added secondary help in free agency. But at the same time, I feel like there's still time to do it. Whether he will or not, we'll see. But like, it's still the beginning of the off season. We got time. I get being frustrated because it's been 8 years and he's acting the same. But everything I've heard, we should be looking at safeties like Diggs. We had mutual interest. He's not signed anywhere yet, so that's still a possibility.
Yeah.
And like he's old too, right? So shit, man.
Yeah, but that would be good because our secondary is young. So I mean, he's still good and able to play. But having that guy in there, I feel like he's better than McLeod that we had, and McLeod played really well for us.
So I'm going to not be as nice as Austin because I refuse. We are a team that is frequently stuck in neutral unless there seems to be some type of hill where the car can look like it's moving a little bit quicker. But then Chris Ballard is going to go ahead and effectively pump the brakes because he's going to look at everybody in the car and say, hey, everybody, it looks like we're moving a little bit fast, but we like the speed that we're going at when we're in neutral. This team right now, and like I said, it's no knock on anybody. I love this team. I love the way, I love guys on the team, but we're getting excited. When Dio finally was able to go ahead and emerge last year, it was Hurricane Dio. We love it. Fantastic. But the thing is, once again, look at this team. The biggest indicator of the fact this team hasn't changed is the fact that teams on offense will look at our defense and they'll realize they're playing the exact same people that were in the film that was on film last year. If you can use the fact that you can look at last year's tape and say, hey, this is exactly what we have going on. This is how he plays when they play a similar scheme. If you really want to see how to go ahead and expose us, go ahead and look at the Falcons game. Look at the Bengals game. Go ahead, throw some screens. Because guess what? What are we going to do in the draft now? Is it going to be pass rusher with 15? Is it going to be cornerback at 15? Is it going to be wide receiver at 15? We don't know. We just know that we may need a combination of all three, and we're going to have to wait until the first, second, and third round. And then on top of that, guess what? Ballard might pull a ballyhoo and just go ahead and trade down again. Because in true Ballard fashion, trading down is going to give him more fifth-round picks. And we know how much he loves fifth-round picks. We can talk about all day Zaire Franklin and E.J. Speed being seventh-round guys. And I was skeptical about the linebacker core, but they actually did pretty well. But they're anomalies. Ballard went and drafted Sean Davis, signed to Sean Davis, and before the end of the offseason, they were off the team, both of them. How are you able to grab two Sean Davises and then get rid of two Sean Davises all in the span of about 4 months?
Remember that. He was from Florida, right?
Yes, Sean Davis from Florida. And then the other Sean Davis that we had was the one that played on Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
but he's done the same. Look at the wide receiver position. My God, let's go through this. Y'all remember Deion Kane and how he was the next greatest thing to ever enter Earth?
Clemson.
Darius Fountain.
Michael Sean. Like, this guy said a Division III guy they picked up in the 7th round was going to come in and be a beast. We didn't even see him sniff. He didn't even sniff the practice squad. The dude was put on the practice squad.
Don't forget Clyde Boy, Bunches.
Bro, that shit broke my. I went bananas when we started. I said, "Come on, dog." And he from Michigan, and I get it, but no, son, like,
bro. But it's again, it's the definition of insanity, right? I mean, from Austin's standpoint, I get it, right? Technically, free agency isn't over. I get it, but when I understand. Look, I get Danny Pinter. I understand, whatever. I understand. I get it. But there are glaring holes on this team that cannot be addressed in the 19th week of free agency. Like, we cannot wait until week 19, the 45th wave of free agency to hope to address these things. No, man, I'm just saying, bro.
No, because let's just go through this. Remember when we lost Paris Campbell after he had a pretty decent year, and then Chris Ballard said we're going to sign Isaiah McKenzie like he's going to be doing that, and his stats with playing with, mind you, he played more than Paris did, and I think Paris probably had better stats than he did. And mind you, I think probably around like November, December, I'm arguing with Colts fans, telling them that was a terrible signing, and they're just like, no, because he's great for special teams. He wasn't signed to be a special teams player. He was signed to be a wide receiver. Like, well, like, and this is the Binsanity that I'm talking about. Because the thing is, you continuously go and say, yes, we're going to sign these guys, and because of the fact that there's enthusiasts that say, oh yeah, well, he got this guy because this guy is supposed to do this. When we got Brandon Facison, who was CB6 on the Raiders, he's CB6 on the Raiders. Why was he even an option? Oh yeah, because he's 6'2". And guess what? He got beat on like a drum in drumline with Nick Cannon. He got absolutely spanked all year. And you know what happened with that? Isaiah Rodgers barely ever played. Let me tell you for context what happened. Derrick Henry ran a stretch to the right side, and you know what he did? He ran right by Brandon Facison and ran in for a touchdown.
He looked at him.
They did the
He waved at him.
They did the exact same thing.
I would too, though, man.
They did the exact same thing to Isaiah Rodgers. They did the exact same thing to Isaiah Rodgers, and Isaiah Rodgers got him with an ankle tackle on the outside for a touchdown that wasn't. And mind you, Brandon Facison, CB6. He was a CB6 for the Raiders. Do you know how bad you have to be a CB6 on the Raiders?
That's like a 64 on Madden. That's like a 64.
Let me tell you.
Hey, real quick, Mike Edwards is in the building, so we did have a Chiefs DB.
And let's address that, because that's more bargain bin shopping. Because guess what? Now we bring in Mike Edwards. How many snaps did Mike Edwards play last year?
He had decent stats, though. He had decent stats, but I don't think he should be a starter.
Okay, so let me ask this question for follow-up. Who knew who Mike Edwards was prior to us having him in for a visit?
I actually didn't know he played for the Chiefs until yesterday. No lie. I had no idea he played for the Chiefs until yesterday. But Mike Edwards, for context, he played all 17 games last year. Started 5. He started 5.
Mm-hmm. And
he had better. He had better. Listen, breaking news. According to some folks that we talked to, our sources, he has better stats than L'Jarius Sneed.
He's a safety.
I'm just here to break the news, man. What are you talking about?
No, we're not doing this. We're not doing this because when it comes down to it, we have a team that went 9-8 last year, that has made 0 improvements, that is right now playing in a division where every other team in the division has worked diligently in this offseason to improve, so that this way, when they go into the draft, they can draft based on need and do what they need to do. Yes. Yeah, but let's also just be very real. We are playing against improved teams with the exact same team that we had last year, hoping that Anthony Richardson will be healthy, because we want him to be healthy. We're not where we need to be. We're not where we need to be right now. We're not where we need to be.
So I've been sifting through these corners that are left. I wouldn't mind taking a look at J.C. Jackson. I know 2 years ago.
I love J.C. Jackson. Yeah, personally, I like him.
Let's talk to him. Of course, Xavier, he's 30. It's a couple other names on here, like what's buddy? I like old boy from, he's decent. Trey Flowers.
Is it John Johnston on there?
Who is it?
John Johnson. I think.
I don't see a John.
Is he a safety?
Is Xavier Howard still there?
Yeah, Xavier Howard's still unsigned.
That's the guy we should definitely bring in. I mean, I guess at this point.
Yeah.
So Christian Fulton. Yeah.
I don't know.
The other thing I want to talk about real quick, and this is Clyde. I don't think you know this, but this is what I call a fired on the spot type of offense. Basically, meaning if there's a list of things that I have that a Ballard does or does not do, he is, in my opinion, what we call fired on the spot.
Okay.
So, recent, I don't know what's true, what's not in this whole L'Jarius Sneed thing, right? There are rumors that have been coming out that the Titans have been talking to L'Jarius Sneed and could potentially put together some kind of deal to make things happen. Just maybe hearing something in the next 48 hours. If that happens and we talk to L'Jarius Sneed and Ballard openly let a high position of need go to a division rival again, fired on the spot. That's it. Fired on the spot. That is a fireable offense to me. That's like no, I don't know what it's like because I'm not good at like analogies and all that crap. But fired on the spot.
Hey, I got one. I got
Gotcha.
one.
Go for it.
That's like going to a job interview and saying, listen, we have this position for you. You'll be making X amount per year, 6 figures. You'll be able to do this. You'll be able to do everything that you need to. The only difference is that it's a little bit further from your job. So you're going to be, it's a little bit further from your home. You'll be spending a little bit more on gas. Generally, our people go out and buy lunch, so you'll be spending a little bit more, but the pay will more than supplement exactly what it is. We know that you need this in terms of your career. You've indicated exactly how this will fit for you, and this way we'll be able to do it. And then the HR manager, mind you, that's the person who's the actual manager of the department. Then the HR manager comes in and says, "Oh, look at this. This person fits all the needs that we have and everything that we're looking for." Then you look that person directly in the eyes and say, "But we like what we have right now with our staff." This is exactly what the hell. This is exactly what we have with this team right now.
But we like the group we have.
And it's, you know what? It's hubris. It's complacency. It screams that you believe so much into the lies that you tell yourself, you will go and potentially jeopardize the success of the team because you have a number or you have things that you believe that you do that are going to fit. This team has been up and down. The best year that we had was with Phillip Rivers, and that's when Phillip Rivers is able to run the offense damn near by himself. Frank Reich probably didn't even have to call a play because Phillip Rivers was just that damn good at being able to know exactly where different spots are, how to read defenses, and do everything that he did. Outside of that, we haven't had another double-digit win season other than the luck year, and we all know it was luck. We've consistently underachieved with some of the most overqualified players that we could possibly have. And it's because of the fact that we have players who are overqualified, and then there's a huge gap because Chris Ballard just loves those draft picks. And you know that as soon as he goes past the 4th round, that's his bread and butter. That's what he loves to do. And I'm not knocking anybody. I think Jalen Jones played decent. But at the same time, we don't need decent when you're in a window where you have a rookie contract. You have a rookie contract, so you're not paying a quarterback. You're not paying a quarterback, which means that you have the funds to be able to supplement for other things, and it's not being supplemented. Yes, we paid our same guys, and that's fantastic. But also, we also need a lot on this team in order for our defense to be able to be good. It's being bottom 5 and bottom 10 in any defensive category is unacceptable. And it's not to say that re-signing Grove was bad because I think Grove's a good player. It's not to say that re-signing Kenny was bad because I think Kenny's a good/great player. But it's about the fact that we continue to go through this conundrum where we just continue to believe that everything is good with what we have because we have personal favorites as far as players. Like, let's be completely honest. Chris Ballard is failing. He is failing. And if we are under 9-8, I don't care about injuries. I don't care what happens in regards to that. I don't care about suspensions. If this team is under 9-8 this year, listen, he won't be fired. The fan base will probably the fan base will remove him from the building.
I want to add something to your comments, Chris, that I thought about. You mentioned how all the teams improve. You know, Houston, they got those guys that they got, you know, in free agency. Also, they was close to trading for Keenan Allen to give CJ, which would have been really bad. Mayo boy got, you know, Calvin Ridley. T-Law got Gabe Davis, along with, you know, Kirk and Zay Jones. Not saying that, you know, us having Pittman and having Josh Downs and Adam Pierce, but that's not enough. I mean, I know we got a top 5 running back or even top 10 running back, but that's not enough. Those teams are making sure the head coaches in front office are making sure that those teams, those quarterbacks, or at least can succeed year 2.
But that's not the case.
AR haven't even played year 1 yet because he only had 4 games. So essentially, it's a big rookie year with the offense, with it was the potential with having running backs, Jonathan Taylor, having the receivers, having the tight ends, so like that. We don't know yet how it will look for a full season. But you didn't add to it. You didn't add him some extra weapons like a Keenan Allen, like Brandon Ayuk. He's up for grabs. I mean, those things like that would help help a young guy in his growth going forward. And we just going with the same offense, same defense, same special teams. It's get old, and I get tired of hearing at the end of the season. Yeah, it's my fault. I screwed up. Well, we know that. You said that for 7 seasons. Yeah. You can't say this for 9 seasons. You can't say this for 10 seasons because now, like you said, the team gonna riot. The fan base gonna riot because we try to hear the same thing. You setting us a limit. That's what you're doing. You told us how good the car was, but at the end of the day, it was a limit. The car fucked up.
And see, man, I struggle with it. Like, he is what he is. He's 54, 60, and 1. So yes, he is failing when you look at his gross overall record. The other problem is, by not addressing the needs that you guys have pointed out very clearly, the issue becomes now you're splitting hairs at 15, because guess what? If Brian Thomas is there and you have a L'Jarius Sneed, you're not thinking about what top corners there, because who cares? We're taking Brian Thomas to put in the offense. Let's roll. Or if you supplement somebody that was a receiver and you're like, okay, cool, I feel good about that now. Maybe I do want to go Brock Bowers. I don't know. Or maybe you do get the corner and you be like, you know what? I still really need a DE, and I like Teo Latu from UCLA. I'm taking him. But now we're splitting hairs. You get 1 pick.
Yes.
And it's about 9 people you can have. That's the problem when you don't address the needs. And like I was telling Pat, I was like, Pat, my problem is and I think one of you said it to start this, when you've been having the same gaping hole for multiple seasons and you don't address that, you don't go to the draft and think that fixes that, because that kid still has to learn.
Exactly.
Like, that's the problem. You're not getting Sauce Gardner at pick 15. I'm sorry, you're not. Because he's going at pick 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. Like, so what I'm saying is you might get a really solid corner at 15, fine, but he's going to have a learning curve, especially playing in this Gus Bradley shit show defense.
Exactly.
Like, when everything he's learned since he's been in high school is out the window.
And that's the reason why this whole rely just mostly and solely on the draft strategy is a failure. Because the thing is, anybody that you're bringing in under the pretense that you plan to plug them in to the team. Now, mind you, with corner is a very tough position to play. But if you're a taller corner, there's a chance that you'll be in a better position because of the fact that you have a little bit more of a range to be able to defend. But the problem is that now, if you get corners in, now, mind you, Gus Bradley runs this cover 3 defense more so than anything else. We have corners who can be physical, but the problem is that in this cover 3, you are relegated to a zone. And the thing is, for anybody who knows exactly how a cover 3 works, you know how to expose those different holes in the zone, especially if the quarterback has any amount of time. Yep. And because of the fact that there's no pass rush, because we don't have a certified edge rusher that's bringing heat all the damn time, that means that now there's going to be more time to explore that cover 3 defense and explore those zones so that you'll be able to get open. I think, once again, Juju actually had a pretty good year last year. But the thing is, he had to worry about guarding guys on out routes like D-Hop, or guarding guys on out routes. Mind you, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the fact, when we played the Browns, he was covering Amari Cooper. He actually had the opportunity to cover Amari Cooper. He held Amari Cooper to nothing.
Yeah.
0. He held him to absolutely nothing the whole entire game. He gets hurt, and then Baker gets on him, and then Amari Cooper makes his bid for the Hall of Fame.
Oh, shit.
Like, let's
Daryl Baker.
like, and the thing is, this is the issue that I have because of the fact that we think that because they look good in camp and because they came back looking like they worked out well over the offseason and that they did all these great things to make them seem like they're a little bit ahead, that they should automatically just get plugged in, even though we know for a fact that that is not the case. And it's going to boil down to the fact that we also have a DC and Gus Bradley who puts a system out there that is very easily recognized by a lot of these teams.
Cooked. And you know, one thing you're not saying about the cover three is in our cover three, we are a cover three with a starting nickel presence. Though Kenny is a good, Kenny Moore is pretty damn solid. That is a deficiency because run support is all over the place because they spread Kenny out with a tight end, or he picks up, you know what I mean? Like, you know, a slot receiver or whatever. You got two backers who are spaced out and you just gap that shit. And that's what happens. And neither one of our linebackers are hulking figures. Like Zaire is short. EJ isn't short, but he's kind of like gangly. So he's
lanky.
They get caught in a wash. And then next thing you know, Joe Mixon has 25. And like you said, screen pass. The other kid from the Bengals, he go to the house with it. Like, and I'm
you
like,
don't even know his name.
What's the other kid? The young kid, number 30.
I don't know.
He's the starter now.
Brown
yeah, Chase Brown or some shit like that. He go to the house 65 yards or whatever the fuck it is.
They got to take off now.
But see, the problem with that becomes like, honestly, right? Like, because you don't have a traditional 3-set linebacker look. And as you mentioned, there's so many gaping holes, and we haven't figured out that strong bring it down the box safety that he had in Seattle. All of this shit, none of it fucking works, bro. And we go back to saying, well, damn, I'd take the Eberflus Tampa 2, which I hated with all of my soul, but I'll take that over this because at least those dudes knew where to be.
Exactly.
Like, a lot of times I'm like, I don't know if they know the play. like if you really watch some of these blown coverages, he's like, I'm not sure they understood what Zaire said in the huddle, because there's no way that dude was that wide open. There's no way this guy whiffed that bad. Or it's like, oh, that's my guy. Like, how many times did you see Rodney coming back talking to one of the corners like, yo, was that me or you? Like, what the fuck are y'all talking about? Like,
yeah.
So, is it me or you? What did we practice?
The funny thing about all this is, like, I get it at the beginning of the season, right? First 4 or 5, maybe 6 games. We are on game 17. The first damn offensive play the Houston Texans has was a play action pass, and we got beat over the top on a go route in week 18. Yeah. And we had a communication problem. Like, no, dude, it's not a communication problem. You just have players that suck. Like,
Juju though, he don't suck. That's what Juju. He don't suck.
No. But where's the safety on that play? Juju's not a safety.
There
Juju's
isn't because the thing, and that's the problem, because Gus Bradley, and mind you, this is a team where Devin Singletary had a pretty decent year last year. I'm not going to knock him. But you go and you automatically play up because you're expecting run, and then they hit you with an unexpected pass play. And mind you, we'll talk about Gus Bradley another day. Right now, this is Ballard bashing time. But like the problem is that you have all these moving pieces that are not moving together. Chris Ballard he's not filling this team properly. Gus Bradley is running a dilapidated defense, because I don't care how good the Legion of Boom was in this defense. That was 2013. This is a team that is 11 years out from what it was before. This is now a certified passing league. And if you didn't know it was a passing league, look how many running backs went to different teams this past free agency period. Everybody is moving around. We're going to see next year for the first time the first $30 million a year wide receiver. And yet, secondary right now is Kenny Moore, Juju Brents in his second year, Daryl Dan Baker, Dallas Flowers coming off a torn Achilles, and Jalen Jones right now. And mind you, we're going up against the NFC North this year. And I believe we're going up against the
East, AFC East.
AFC East. So that means that we're playing against different quarterbacks that have multiple weapons. Well, I mean, we're playing against Justin Jefferson this year.
Maybe they might trade him, right?
We're playing. Listen,
Oh,
we're playing against in Chicago,
Caleb,
Keenan Allen, and we're going to be playing against DJ Moore on the other side.
hell, even the Bears got better. Jesus.
We're going to be playing against the Lions, who still have Ben Johnson, and now they have Jameson Williams, they have Amon-Ra St. Brown, they have Jahmyr Gibbs coming out the backfield,
a nice tight end,
and mind you, and Sam Laporta, and now we are going to have to believe that what we have right now, along with whatever cornerback we draft in this upcoming draft, is going to be good enough to go against these teams week after week. Mind you, not even talking about the fact that the Texans are going to be running it back with the exact same team on offense, but the thing is, they did good enough where whatever, we're going to have to go against D-Hop and Ridley. And then we're going to be going up against all the wide receivers that the Jags have that just seem to just screw us up every single time that we play them. And we have improved on absolute diddly squat.
You know the Texans are going to get better at wide receiver too, right? They're drafting a wide receiver. So they have Nico Collins, another wide receiver. Tank Dell's going to come in. So now you have to guard 3 guys. We know how deep this wide receiver group is. I mean, I don't know what they do in their first round. I don't really pay attention to what they do, but I feel like they
draft a receiver though. They got John Mitchell.
It set themselves up to draft a really good receiver in the
first round. Their first round pick.
Yeah, no, Tank Dell will be coming back.
They did, but the thing is, the pick. No. They traded their first with the Will Anderson trade last year. So the thing is, they're picking. So they're picking, I believe.
No, they traded.
They're picking in the 20s. Yeah, they're picking in the 20s.
They traded that one.
Yeah, it traded with the Vikings.
Yeah.
No, but they're picking based on the Browns first round.
Yeah,
pick.
but they traded that one too.
That's the pick they traded, but they did some. They have 2 seconds, but they could always bundle those seconds and trade back up into the first.
I mean, they could, but that's just what they have right now. They're not picking.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
Stereo is cooking, bro.
And we Stereo's done this in 3 years, and Ballard's fucking sitting on year 9.
And
what was this, year 8?
That's the accordion bandwidth that I struggle with. Like when you see, and I talk about this with my guys all the time. I'm like, I'm not trying to be a copycat or whatever, but I'm saying like you can see like people like what's his Leary out of Philly. He like, look, fuck it, we're going for it. The Rams guy, I got it. He said F them picks. I wouldn't go that hard in the paint, but I'm saying like
that was hard.
Yeah, when you've drafted well, like you have to then go and add the things that you like. Free agency and the draft have to be hand in hand. You have to, because you're being a super young team, right? Only works until it's time to pay people. Then you got to make hard decisions, and you haven't had anything to fucking actually even hang your hat on. Like for me, I'm still upset that this is how shitty we went in the linebacker room. 5 years ago, our linebacker room, probably couldn't understand it, was fucking incredible. We had no idea that how good it was going to be, right? But now 3 of those linebackers are gone. Bobby's gone. So my thing,
Anthony Walker,
and you wouldn't depending on Shaq to fucking have his setback and then end up being off the team. I get that, but you don't let Bobby O get out of your fucking door and then you be like, well, but we got EJ. Like
for 10 million.
Yeah, I like EJ. Don't get me wrong, but come on, bro. Like, no, you keep Bobby in the house. Like that dude.
Bobby should. If Bobby stays, you could argue that Bobby stays, and you could still have EJ and these other guys. Maybe it even helps Shaq when he gets back because he has a guy that he can rely on. Again, not saying that EJ speed isn't good. I think these guys are great, and I think they could play the linebacker position. Bobby Okereke was a playmaker.
Last year.
He was
Monday night was insane. That game he had on Monday night was insane.
Hard defense.
He had like 4 sacks in the first half. It was insane, dude. I don't fucking know what's going on.
Besides DeForest Buckner, we don't have any dogs on this defense. There's not one guy I can rely on, and that includes Kenny Moore, because Kenny Moore was bad for how long until last year? He was even bad until like maybe week 6 into last year, right?
Well, the thing, so so he had so the thing about Kenny, and this is the issue that I have. It's once again, if you go back to that Legion of Boom, they never had a corner that was under 6 foot.
Nope.
And so the other thing is that when you come into here, mind you, Kenny was allowed to play much freer in Eberflus's in his defense.
Because
In
he was
this
strictly
defense,
nickel.
it's a very very restricted defense where you have to play in certain spots. And the thing is, for somebody like Kenny Moore, who has these skill sets, who you can kind of let roam free because you know that he's going to be able to have that field vision to be able to make certain plays at certain times, and you're telling him that he has to play in a box, and he has to play in a box at 5'9", 5'10", when he's going up against these guys, and he knows you're causing him to not be able to utilize his skill set. And that's frustrating, because if for some reason you deviate and stuff works, you'll probably still get chewed out anyway. But the thing is, it just probably won't be as bad. Now you have to worry about overcompensating for a poop defense that clearly is not working. Like we're 11 years removed from the Legion of Boom, and yet he's trying to implement a Legion of Boom defense that doesn't translate to today's game.
And you could clearly see his frustration, like, because by no means was this guy. This is one of my favorite players ever wore the Colts helmet. By no means was this guy what he was 2 years prior to the back surgery. But he still, when we traded him, and this is why I fought with Pat so much. I was like, dude, he was second in tackles behind Zaire. He had missed a game or 2 games, I think, and he had a pick too. So what I'm saying is, like, he could still make plays. And I think that if he was in a traditional fucking defense, he would have still been a solid linebacker that's still kind of working his way back from injury. But we needed him to fucking be some goddamn, like, what was that crazy linebacker? Dion, the one that I think he went to Georgia, but he played for Atlanta. Deion Jones. Remember him?
Deion Jones.
Yeah, like, Deion Jones. Yeah.
He's like a 4.29 or some shit as a linebacker. It was insane. Yeah. We needed him to play like that to work in Gus's defense. And I'm like, bro, that's just not practical. Because it's too much. It's only 2 dudes in the middle trying to cover every fucking thing. Like, dude, come on, man. I'm like, this shit is goofy. And the fact that we stuck with him, like, I literally wanted to rip my hair out when they made the announcement that we're going to keep Gus Bradley 1 more year. I was like, bro, I would rip my throat out. This is fucking terrible to watch. Like, I can't handle this.
But that goes with the stigma, because the thing is, because Gus Bradley's defense last year, you can see, was an absolute issue. And you can see that while there were good moments, they harped on the good moments, because the only good moment that came out of that was that we had the most sacks with the least amount of pressure. So what is going to change about that? Because this is his defensive philosophy. This is his defensive scheme. What's going to change about that going into this year? And not only that, but the thing is, everybody on the defense is a year older. Nobody's getting any younger on this defense, especially since he didn't add anybody in. Chris Ballard could have went and got Dante Jackson from the Panthers, and that would have been his only move. And I'm like, well, you know what? He did make that move. It's for the secondary. It's fair. But there's none. And not only that, but you let your best secondary player outside of Kenny Moore walk and visit with Buffalo.
Another strange move.
What, this is why I'm officially out on Chris Ballard when it comes to this team, because of the fact that you can't continue to try to sell us this bill of goods that ain't good. Like, you can't continue to go and say, yes, we like our guys, we like this team, this is everything that we need, and we're going to be able to compete. Because we were 9-8 last year, and I think damn near every team that we would play improved at some point or another. Like, we're going to play Minnesota, and they lost Kirk Cousins. They're probably going to draft somebody. But then on top of that, Minnesota got better too. There's a lot of teams that got better that we're going to have to see. And mind you, the last time that we played Josh Allen, we absolutely destroyed them with the run. I think they're going to be a little bit better prepared for the run. However, we're not prepared for the pass. So
shit, man, damn. Like, I mean, bro, 9-8 twice over the last 3 years with 4-12-1 sprinkled in there. It's miserable.
But it's the thing, right? It's like, well, we went from 4 wins to 9. Dude, we went from 10 wins to 4. Like, what are we talking about? Like, we fans love so much. Look at the improvement that we had. We went from, this is what we did. We went from 11 to 10 to 4 to 9. That is constant regression on this team. If you look at like a trending wheel, that is a trending wheel of regression in the last 4 years. And then you know what? If we go 12 this year, and look, you can make the argument. You can make the argument that AR could have won us 3 of those games that we lost this year.
Yeah,
awesome. But I go back to the point of saying Chris Ballard's first thing that he said when he stepped into the building was, "I will never build a team around one player." And this team is not built around. This team isn't built around any players. It's not built around anybody. It's not built based off of anybody. There's no brainwork that goes into how to build this team. This team is just a bunch of guys put together and sold to the fan base as built through the draft. Pay your guys and just see what happens. And we just rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. That is not, not only is I get and he says the trenches are important, but 9 years in, your defensive end is still one of your biggest problems.
And Clyde, you mentioned it earlier when you use your example of the Rams and the Eagles, how they just like, oh, whatever, screw the picks, whatever. Those are two teams that in the last 8 years, in the 8 years that Ballard has been here, those teams have been to the Super Bowl each twice.
Yeah, right.
Mind you, they traded for Jalen Ramsey. They got Aaron Donald prior to that with the Rams. The Eagles have frequently made moves.
Yeah.
And in the time that they did that, mind you, we saw the Eagles win the Super Bowl in 2018. And then they had a couple years where it was But then prior to going to the Super Bowl, in that last Super Bowl, the Super Bowl before this last one, they were probably I'm gonna say I think they had the most successful record against teams under 500 in the league and were able to make playoffs. But you make playoffs 1 year, you make improvements. Mind you, they traded for AJ Brown.
Yeah, right.
Now, mind you, there's nothing now that indicates that there will be a trade or there will be anything done. So the thing is, we're going to go with guys who potentially are talented, who are fantastic, who are going to possibly be green, and they're going to be raw prospects that are going to have to learn on the fly in a defense that will not allow them to truly be able to learn the way that they should. And the thing is, there's some GMs that do that differently. Now, mind you, Aaron Donald's gone. The Rams might be in free fall for a little while, but they have 2 Super Bowl appearances with 1 Super Bowl trophy. And as of right now, they're a team that if they look bad for the next 3 years, they have their heads they can lay on their pillows at the end of the night and say, well, you know what? We had that stretch where we were a dominant and we were a good team, and it translated into the ultimate success. Even the Eagles could have a drop off this year, but guess what? This is a team that has been in the playoffs the last 3 years, was in the Super Bowl, and even prior to that, won a Super Bowl in 2018. So we have that to go off of. What do we have to go off of? We have a playoff loss to Buffalo, and then on top of that, we almost made it to the playoffs, if not for a drop ball.
I have 4-string running back that we got from the bin.
You could went to playoffs with the Carson Wentz, but he didn't want to take the COVID test.
So this is my thing too, man. I don't know how much time we got left, but as you look at like who and how draft picks versus free agencies work, like if you look at his 60 losses over this time period, and I'm just shooting from the hip, you could probably find 25 to 30 of those that were like super close games, 1-score games, lost leads. So like 1 year, remember we lost like seven leads or some bullshit. Like it was like the highest in the NFL.
Carson year?
Yeah,
that might have been the Carson year, right?
It was insane. I don't fucking know. But I say that to say, like, this is why you go get the veterans, because they win you those games, right? Like literally they win you those fucking games, and then you go back and look at those games during the season, you'd be like, that's why we paid that dude. They made the clutch play when they need because they've been in those positions. Keep putting kids on the field and they gonna make kid fucking mistakes. Like, and I'm just like, why is that the fucking go-to every year? That makes no sense to me. Makes no fucking sense to me.
And
that's you're right. Gilly Locke did that a couple years ago against Denver. He made that play.
So I think the other thing, real quick, just to go back on like the Eagles and the Rams conversation. Listen, if you spend the house every 4 or 5 years, maybe 6 years, and that gets you to an NFC Championship game and or AFC title game or a Super Bowl, I don't think the fan base will be upset. You could basically say, "Hey, every 5 or 6 years, we're gonna take a big swing." And if you're winning 2 Super Bowls every 5 years, no fan base is going to be upset at that, or even getting to that far. And if we had, at this point, at least 1 Super Bowl run, let's just say you get to the divisional a couple times, you won a few division titles, Ballard would be just fine. If we'd won 3 division titles and gotten 1 AFC Championship game, or even 1 Super Bowl appearance in these 9 years, nobody would be upset at this. At this way of thinking. The fact is, you're doing something. Which is you build, you're basically building, you're creating or building your team based off the draft, and you haven't won. You have what is he, 50 and 67?
54, 60 and 1 with the one tie.
54, 60 and 1. Oh yeah, the Houston tie. Jesus Christ, I never want to talk about that. That's when I knew Frank Reich needed to be fired.
Week 1 of the season. That was the most intense week 1 I ever seen in my life.
That was when I knew he needed to be fired.
And that's another reason why we're like in the position that we're in, because why are we so complacent now, mind you? And then on top of that, let's also just be very real. Injuries happen. Okay, fantastic. But the problem is that if you bring in a veteran or two, and let's just say somebody gets hurt. Let's just say you bring in a veteran gets hurt. That means that now you still have those other guys to rely on. The problem is that you're complacent with just going with what you have in whoever you drafted and Kenny Moore. And then if somebody gets hurt, you're going further and further down the depth chart. But then on top of that, and also I want to go ahead and just banish this word, because the thing is, I don't want to hear this anymore. I don't want to hear this shit at all. Let's just banish the fact that everybody is okay with everything being a damn depth pickup. Everything is a damn depth pickup. Because we literally, all moves that are made normally are made because they say we need depth, we need depth, we need depth. We need vets. We need vets to come in and make sure that we're coaching up these younger guys and making sure that everybody is on the same page. If you bring in a Xavier Howard, watch what he's able to do for the progression of those younger guys like Juju Brents and Jalen Jones. If you bring in veterans on, let's just say, the O-line, hell, you could bring in Dalton Risner. Glowinski's out there. I'd take Glowinski at right guard right now. But guess what? We don't have that. Danny Pinter is back on a 1-year deal, and it's no knock on Danny. I think he played pretty decent. But the thing is, we are a team that clearly went 9-8, and with all these stuff that we had going on. Now, the thing is, once again, the tape is out, and everybody who was there last year is there this year. So teams are going to be looking at everything we did last year, and they're going to say, let's run exactly what the hell we need to do. They're going to look at Cincinnati's game. They're going to look at the Falcons game, and they're going to say, we are going to beat them to death with screens, because they clearly have no clue what they're doing with them.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Right.
There is a comment. Yeah, this comment here, going with much more optimism than previous years. We're still building and still want vets. No, I'm not going in with any much. I'm going in with more pessimism than ever.
Yes.
Stop with the building, man. I can't.
And we're building. Why are we building a team?
Give me one.
Yeah. Why are we building a team 9 years in? Like
that's not real.
That is not realistic. We've been building the same team for 9 years now.
Nobody gets that. Nobody gets that much time. That's what I've been saying for like.
He's the Marvin Lewis GMs. That's how I view. That's how I view Chris Ballard. He's the Marvin Lewis of
Nobody
GMs.
gets that much time, man. Yeah, that cannot be like you never walk into the door like, hey, you just hired me and I signed a 4-year deal, and I'm like, Yeah, I appreciate the 4 years, but it's gonna take me a decade. And the fucking owner's like, got you. Like you would never never sell yourself on. It's gonna take me a decade.
CEO would never walk into a tech company and say, "Hey," the CEO's like, "You know what? I really want to be, the top company in this industry in the next 10 years, right? And I promise that we'll do that twice in the next 10 years." And then the CEO that the owner might say that the CEO they hire says, "All right, cool. Well, let me go get this guy that has, 1 or 2 years experience coming out of college." And that's just all he builds his staff with.
Yeah.
And they have no idea how to advance the product 5 years in, right? But hey, we're hitting 75% of margin every single year.
Right.
But we haven't turned a profit yet. No, it's okay. We're 9 years into this. I know you said you wanted to be the best 2 times in 10 years, but hey, we're still going to go get these guys out of college and they're going to be excellent. That's basically what Chris Ballard has done. He's stolen money from the Schultz. He should pay it back because he basically and the thing that drives me, he's so arrogant about it too. Oh man, he loves to brag about how arrogant he is. Especially when he says my time at Indiana, my time as a GM doesn't start until I draft a quarterback. He said that for like 5 or 6 years. He even said it the year before before he was forced to draft because he spent $40 million on Matt Ryan, and it's like, oh, that's okay. I'll spend that $40 million. My contract doesn't really start till I draft a quarterback.
Yeah, man. Look, there's been some head scratching stuff, but the one thing that really has really got me when it comes to Chris Ballard, like I say this all the time, it's like I don't know if he really thinks of it as his money or what, because to me, I'm like, and again, you're not gonna just be crazy with the money. I get it, you work for an owner, but I'm like,
sure.
What are their conversations like? Because I would be like, no, Jim, this is the dude we need. So I'm not counting the ducks here. Like, dude, this dude will put us over the top. And I'm sure that's come multiple times over these 8 off seasons. But I'm like, to never ever, and I'm like, what is wrong with Jim? Like, maybe I do want him to be a little bit of Jerry Jones. Like maybe be Jerry Jones once or twice. Like, fucking go get me him. Like right now.
I love how off I love how he just lets his guys do their thing. He's a very offhands type of guy, and I love that about Jim Irsay. I think it's more because of how his dad was with the team, right? And he it made it a point to be the complete opposite. At some point, though, if you wanted 2 Super Bowls this decade, bro, we're 4 years into the decade, man. You need 2 in the next 6 to reach your goal, right? You're not doing a very good job. Like, at some point, he's going to be like, $2 million, that's really what you worried about? That's $2 million of guaranteed money is what you're worried about. Man, I don't care about $2 million. Go get it done. I'm trying to win a Super Bowl. Because let's just be honest, regardless of what's going on in Jim's life personally, he's not getting any younger. No. And Jim Irsay does not come to me as the type of guy that's going to be in this industry until he's 85 years old. He does not tag me as that type. He might retire in the next 5 years, honestly. I think he might.
When his daughters take over, the oldest one, she's a bulldog. Like, we've met her several times in passing. She, I'm telling you, like, and I know nobody's trying to wait till whenever that day is, but once she gets hold of the team, it's gonna be a whole bro. I'm telling you, she's young. She's full of like vigor. Like, she wants shit to happen. Like, you can see how she is, and I know she'll be like, what's that movie with Cameron Diaz? She'll be like Cameron Diaz on what was that fucking movie? The football movie.
Any Given Sunday. Yeah.
Remember Cameron Diaz was running the team and shit? Like, she's gonna be like that, bro. And so again, we just gotta wait till we get to that point. But like, my thing with them though, I'm sitting there, and I'm literally watching Jim Irsay say things. I'm like, okay, maybe he's just joking or maybe he's not, but we've drafted so many picks over these 8 years. If he really meant, hey, if we could figure out how to get Marvin Harrison here, hey man, run them 3 firsts over the next 3 years. If that's really
I don't care. Let it go. What do you need it for? You've been drafting for 9 years. At this point, if you don't win, you're not going to be here when those first round picks are gone. So it doesn't matter. What are you sitting on? This I said this. I said this 3 years ago. Yeah,
like
I
where are
said
you
this
drafted?
2 years ago when when I was like, hey, I said this last year. Look, you need to do everything you can to go get the number 1 pick so that you have full control over who your guy is, right?
Yeah,
and I was like, they're like, well, you're gonna give up draft. I don't care because you know what? He got lucky this year, but at the time I was thinking, if you don't win next year, it doesn't matter who the first round draft pick will be the year after that because you won't be here. So you got to think with that mindset that there are moments in time and opportunities. They fell into the 4th pick and they got it. Listen, I will be the first one to tell you I was not a fan of Anthony Richardson when they drafted him, but they didn't really have a choice. What I would have loved to do is go trade your draft capital, go to number 1 and draft CJ Stroud. That's what I thought they should have done. But that's just what I thought they should have done because I was a huge CJ Stroud fan and stand. And I will still stand. If I had to go back and look back again a year ago and say, what would I have done? I would have given up the house to get the number 1 pick. What did Carolina give up? Like 2 first-round picks or 3 first-round picks?
2, I think 2 and a second. 2 first and a second or something.
What are we talking about, bro? 2 first-round picks and a second. You don't even like first and second-round picks. You get out your value in the 4th and the 5th round. What are we really talking about here, bro?
Sorry. Go ahead.
But that doesn't. I even to this day, listen. If I had a choice between Anthony Richardson and CJ Stroud, 100 times out of 100, I'm picking CJ Stroud over Anthony Richardson, and I would have done whatever. I would have done whatever it took if I was the GM to make that happen. But
I don't care about first round picks because ultimately, well, I'm gonna say that loosely. If you are being consistent, you look at the Patriots for 20 years, they always drafted from 20 to 32. So if that's where your first round pick is, that means you're being pretty fucking successful because you're going to the playoffs every year. So if I'm making that type of sacrifice and I know it's going to put me in that demographic in the first round, have all of them. Who gives a fuck? I mean, 1 year a fucking kicker went into the first year or the first round. I think the fucking Raiders did that with Janikowski or some nonsense. Who fucking cares who gets picked number 31 or 32? Nobody. You know, not really. Every now and then it's okay, but not really.
Lamar Jackson.
You know what I'm saying? Like, unless you're Lamar Jackson, right? Because that was an insane year. Or Aaron Rodgers, he was like 24, another insane year. But the moral of the story is, if you're like you said, Harish, if you're making that type of sacrifice and you know it's gonna put you in that bottom half or the bottom third actually of the draft every year, it was worth it. I don't gotta see a first or second pick for fucking 3 years. Who gives a fuck?
But one thing I do want to say, because I saw this comment here and I see like what they're talking about. Now the thing is,
I get it. Yeah.
I don't think like the one thing that I don't want this to be confused with is saying that we need to go out and be the first team to sign somebody as soon as, free agency period opens, and then that will be the case. What I am saying is that that you have obvious glaring holes on this team. You know that the secondary was very, very susceptible to a lot of these teams last year, and you have the opportunity to be able to go and do what you need to do. Now, the thing is, like I said, Chris Ballard has been a guy who said, yeah, we have a number, we have something, and then we stick to that. Okay, that sounds fantastic. That's how you can avoid playing mid-tier corners, a $20 million a year. But also at the same time, if you know that there's people out there that are solid, mind you, we've had everybody, mind you, we have free run at whoever it is that's coming out. Now, we can talk about the fact that there were certain guys that were maybe spoken to, but weren't offered anything. But the thing is, you have guys who are going to teams like Washington, who last year was not successful, who does not have any type of success to look forward to, who are going to have to rely on the draft to fix multiple spots on their team. You have guys signing 1-year deals to go play for that team. And you mean to tell me that at no point you said to some of these players, hey, come through. What are you looking? What is your number looking like? Because I'm pretty sure that and I'm going to keep on harping on this Jeremy Chin thing because safety is an issue. Safety is an issue. We still there's nothing in my mind that makes me believe that Jeremy Chin said, I'm looking for $10 million per year for 2 years, and then he settled for 1 year for 5.
Yeah, that's
Crazy, man.
that'd be terrible
And we're
negotiation.
still sitting here hoping for L'Jarius Sneed. Look, I want L'Jarius Sneed more than anybody because he helps solidify a position that's been an issue for us for God knows 5 years now. But we're again, Jeremy Chin. I don't know what's going on with Justin Simmons. Quandre Diggs is a guy I want, and these are guys that we could possibly be talking to, right? But back to that comment about managing money and overpaying, spending leads or whatever, Colts House said. Some of these contracts are expiring when Anthony Richardson's deal comes up. So then they're going in at the same time. So, if they blow, but again, it's about taking a shot and taking a risk, not taking any risk and just hoping for something to change is something different than look, if they gave let's just say they gave L'Jarius Sneed 25 mil or 23 mil or 22 mil, right? Yeah, we might have overpaid a little, but it's a risk that you take in hopes that he fills a gap that you've had for so long. And if he doesn't, you swung and you missed. That's okay. That's going to happen. But just sitting there and taking the pitch every time and hope that you're going to get a hit is worse than not even swinging at all, is the way I see it. It's like going to the home run derby and they're like, man, we're going to hit like 20 home runs, but I'm only going to swing at 5 pitches. But we're going to hit 20 home runs. That's literally what I feel like he's doing is he basically is hoping to break the home run record, but only swing at 10%.
You got to remember this real quick. I'll let y'all talk after this. Y'all can have it. You got to remember this. There was 2 back-to-back consecutive years where the Colts came into like the free agency period with like something. One year was like upwards of like 88 million. Another one was like 92 million. And we were running the risk on the 3rd year of having money pulled from us because we hadn't spent whatever that balloon number was.
Right.
So I'm like, we came from that. So I know this year we opened the door with, I don't know, whatever it was,
77 million.
Yep. Yeah. I'm like, bro, we've had upward of $100 million before. Like, you can go buy the fucking world and get nothing.
And you know what? If he would have tried to do that 2 or 3 years ago, and he swung and missed, well, guess what? That money doesn't hurt you anymore this year. Yeah. What we did was we took Matt Ryan $40 million, and that was dead hit. Like that was dead cap, $40 million. So now you've lost that money.
And
the opportunity to get it back.
And I want to talk specifically to Colts House because the thing is, we keep on putting numbers. Like I know that you said hitting 7 out of 10 is a good thing, hitting 5 out of 10. But what are we gauging? But what are we gauging that on? Because in this time, let's just remove Luck altogether because we know who Luck was. Luck was a player who 3 years in a row in his first 3 years in the league went 11-5, and then he had a year where he was actually able to stay healthy and he went 10-6. But now, mind you, take Luck out of the equation. Take that Luck year out of that. In what Chris Ballard has done during this time, we've had 1 playoff appearance. And we've had 2 playoff misses because of an utter collapse when we had Carson Wentz, and because of the fact that we had issues last year on and off. And like I said, I premised that with saying yes, we had injury issues. Cool, that's fine. Chris Ballard out his own mouth, mind you. Chris Ballard said out his own mouth, and then like I said, we'll start to kind of wrap up soon. But Chris Ballard said out his own mouth, once you draft a quarterback, the clock starts ticking. Now, mind you, if the clock is ticking now that we have a rookie quarterback that he drafted, at what point did any move this offseason it signify to you that the clock is ticking and that we know that we have to get something done in this time? Because the thing, guess what? Are we waiting for rookies to hit their development year by year 3? Because then guess what? You've now essentially said that this year that we're about to be into, Anthony Richardson's year 2, is looking more like a developmental year. And how many years are we going to have developmental years? Like we could talk about quarterbacks that have come in. Mind you, Brissett was doing pretty good until the injury. Okay, cool. That was somebody that there was no expectation for, not really a whole lot of game film. Phillip Rivers was basically running the offense on his own. Carson Wentz was somebody who had moments, but the thing is, let's also talk about the fact that Jonathan Taylor was out there running like a man possessed in order to make sure that we were keeping in games. We had games where Carson Wentz was literally throwing 50 and almost 60 times a game, and we're throwing
on two bad ankles.
And we're throwing ourselves out of games when you have Jonathan Taylor out there who still ended up being able to run and catch out the backfield. Because I don't know if y'all remember, but Jonathan Taylor won that game against the Patriots when Carson Wentz went 5 for 12 for about 65 yards. So let's also be like very, very honest about this. And then we get Matt Ryan, who was out there running. He was out there running with the wristband that had plays on one side and an AARP application on the other. So like when we talk about quarterbacks, when we talk about everything that we're talking about, everything that we're saying that we're trying to convince ourselves of, we keep on saying developmental, we keep on saying building, we keep on saying this, but it's all buzzwords to highlight the fact that no moves are being made and nothing is being done to drastically improve this team and make sure that if Anthony Richardson does need to develop, that you take pressure off of him either in the O-line or by getting him more weapons that are going to demand attention rather than just having him just sit there by himself and have to make plays. Like the problem was last year, you put Pinter in at right guard, knowing that he was a guy that you got late, and then Anthony Richardson has to go and scramble out the pocket. Now, mind you, Anthony Richardson scrambling out the pocket solely on him. Learn how to slide. I get it. I'm 100% with everybody. But let's also be real in the fact that week one, Chris Ballard said out his own mouth, we're going out there with 4 wide receivers total.
Yeah, that was intense.
But we like the group we have.
Like the thing is, it's like so the thing is, and mind you, the reason why I'm as passionate as I am in regards to this team is because of the fact that you see that with a lot of these teams, everybody has made a move to make sure that they're making their teams better. The Bears went and got Keenan Allen, and they don't even know who their quarterback's going to be because they traded Justin Fields. But whoever comes, whoever comes in to this team at quarterback is going to have a running back behind them, and they're going to have an improved wide receiver core with multiple weapons, where you're not going to be able to just throw the house at people, because that means that you're going to potentially leave somebody open.
You know, going back to Colt's house here because I'm reading these. All these comments, Colt, and again, I'm sure you're a nice guy, no disrespect to you or anything, but all these comments about, hard pills to swallow, this will be a developmental year, no playoffs and 5 shitty QBs. This is all on Chris Ballard. Like these are direct reflections of decisions that Chris Ballard has made. He decided to make 5 shitty QBs because he decided to roll with 2 of them. Right. I mean, Andrew, throw away the Andrew Luck year because that is a situation he could not control. Right. But since then, he had the choice to trust his coach. His coach then failed, decided to keep him for another 6 games after that, and then fire him and throw him under the bus. And then, and then just beyond that, just continue to be okay with hoping that whoever he got, he could slide with. This will be a developmental year is the exact reason why you need to put around as many pieces around Anthony Richardson that you can. You have to set him up for success. This team was, I'll tell you what, this roster was not good last year. I don't care what anybody tells me. They won 9 games last year because Shane Steichen is a hell of a coach. That's why they won 9 games last year. Not because Chris Ballard put together a good team, because this team was atrocious. But Shane Steichen was a really good coach. That's why they won 9 games last year. So you have to continue to put pieces around him. And then just ask a Houston fan how predictable Frank Reich was. Well, just ask a Houston fan what it's like to have a GM that's willing to go out and trade pieces. Go ask a Houston fan how happy they are today around how their offseason is gone. And you come back to me about that. I'm sorry. I just wanted to address those 3 things real quick.
Okay. And like I said, we love the engagement. We love like being able to talk to everybody, because at the end of the day, it's just like we're all going to have opinions, and no matter what, if we don't agree, that's fine. But we all at the end of the day can respect each other's opinions regarding this. There's going to have to be a lot of proving that's going to have to be done with this team in order for any of what we're saying to be proven right or wrong. We're going off of what we see, and we're going off of what we see currently being very, very similar to what we've seen in past years. There's a chance that it could work. There's a chance that this team could go get 11 wins with just rookies and what we have right now. And there's a chance that this team could actually be worse off than they were last year with the rookies that we have and the team that we had last year. But the biggest difference is going to be the fact, but the thing is, the common theme with that is the fact that moves are not being made to help make sure that you shore up those certain spots and make sure that people are getting to where they need to be. So I'm not going to sit here and, like I said, I don't like, we can disagree and we can agree until heart's content. If you've seen this podcast before, you've seen this podcast in previous seasons, then guess what? We're going to go and make sure that everything is, like I said, we cover every single part of it. Who else wants to see the Colts snag Brock Bowers?
Dear God, no, please.
I don't. At this point, I don't. At this point, I don't. Brock Bowers is this team's obsession right now. Like we want Brock Bowers badly, and rightfully so. He might be a freak athlete, might just be somebody that's great. But honestly, if there's a Jared Verse there, I take a Jared Verse over a Brock Bowers.
Because I think you need to address that. You need to address that defensive end because, again, it's just another year where it's just a glaring need, and it just doesn't get addressed. And then if you don't get a veteran corner, then do you look at a Quinyon Mitchell? Do you look at Kool-Aid McKinstry? Do you look, or not Kool-Aid McKinstry, Arnold from Alabama? Brock Bowers is a luxury pick, and we don't have the luxury to pick a guy like him right now.
We don't, because at this point, there's no such thing as a luxury now. We have to be able to pick up people that we know for a fact are going to fit in and who are going to be able to just contribute from day one. And we're depending at this point, because nothing has been done, we're depending solely on rookies to come in and just be competitors from day one. But then also, we're talking about development. We're talking about all these other things. And guess what? We continue to fool ourselves into believing that we need to go and get these rookies and that somehow we're going to depend on these rookies to come in and be impactful and make sure that they're doing what they need to do. I don't know if anybody remembers, and once again, I love Juju, but I don't know if anybody remembers on the last play of the Rams game in overtime, him and Kenny got mixed up on a coverage where somebody was supposed to be covering Puka Nacua. He caught a pass and basically walked into the end zone on a touchdown that should have been covered. And if you have a veteran in that position, there's a chance that they understand it and they see that because of where people are, spacing is important. All that stuff matters. And that's all the more reason why, if you go ahead and you bring in a vet, you're bringing in a vet because vets are more experienced and vets can speak to the younger guys about what to look for in certain spots. Now, for me, in my career outside of this, I have a mentor because there's certain things that they may know because they've probably been in the business longer. But also at the same time, if I'm looking to learn a little bit extra, I'm going to rely on somebody who's been there before. Now, I have been in spots where I had to kind of learn on the fly, and I made a lot of mistakes because of that. But let me tell you, mentorship is a lot better for rookies, and cornerback is the hardest position to play in the league. So if you have cornerback being the hardest position to play in the league, and you have somebody who can coach you up and let you know how that goes, and that's fine. There are only certain guys who can really just play the position because they're just really, really good at that position. And there are guys who can probably be great. They just need that extra nudge and they need that extra learning. And getting a vet guy is going to be important.
Zone defenses are very complex defenses to play in, right? They're not simple. It is not just as simple as playing the zone and that's all you like. Man to man is very straightforward. Guard your man. That's who you follow, this guy, and this is what it is. But in a zone defense, it's very complex because you're covering an area of the field. You have to know what area of the field you're supposed to cover. You can't let go of your area of the field too late or too soon because then something can get exposed in that area. there's a very lot of complex things to learn inside of his own defense. And Gus Bradley runs you have to have skill set's one thing, right? You have to be very smart to play in his own defense, and you have to have very good football IQ to play in it. Not saying that Juju or so communication. That's why we keep harping on how important communication is, because you have to know exactly when to release your guy out of a zone, or you have to know exactly when it's time to take over. The guy has been released from his zone, and now it's your turn to take over. They're now in your zone. Like there is a lot of communication that comes within his own defense. It's very difficult to play. So expecting a rookie to know that day one or year one or even in game, 8 or 7 or 6, whatever, right? I know I said 17 earlier, but they're very, very complicated schemes. And Gus Bradley doesn't run. I know we give him a lot of crap, but he doesn't run an easy scheme, but it's also on him to get the players and tell Ballard and tell Steichen that he needs these types of players because it is so complicated. And I don't know if he's done any of that either.
You know what he also doesn't do to help his young players? This was really crazy. He doesn't disguise anything. So literally, like, to go to Chris
him on an island.
You watch the tape, you be like, this is what the fuck they're in. And you just go out there and fucking annihilate it, bro.
We know 100% of the time they will do this. Yeah.
Exactly. Like, there's no disguise, no fucking creativity. It's literally line up, know your areas, hike the ball, and be in your areas. Like, dude, I'm like, damn, at least kind of like fucking fake it. Like, fuck.
That's how I play Madden. I just click the button. I'm like, nope. I even watch YouTube videos. Go make this. I don't know what that is. Just hike the ball, and if I get it, I get it. If I don't, I don't. That's literally how. Like, if I get a pick, awesome. But if they get a 30-yard catch, I hope they run the ball next, because that's easy to do.
Exactly. But you know what? We are well over our time, but this was a good therapy session. So in the meantime, guys, Clyde, tell the people where they can find you, what you got coming up besides the trip, and just go ahead and let the people know.
Okay, so you can find me at Coach Clyde on the X. Of course, follow us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all the things. Sick Podcast, Anvil Show. As far as me personally, like, I'm actually about to deploy. I'm going to the Middle East in like 3 weeks. So that's where I'll be for the next 6 months. I'm still going to operate the podcast. I'll be probably 8 hours ahead of everybody, though. So while you guys are on your 8, 9 o'clock, I'll be on my 3, 4 a.m. type shit trying to get a podcast in. So I am definitely disciplined to this, and I'm definitely going to remain loyal to this, but it's going to be a rough 6 months. But that's what I got going on, man. And then I'll be back in the fall to get back probably mid-October. So I'll miss the first month or so of the season. So.
Well, hey, thank you for continuing to contribute.
Absolutely.
After this, you're out for good.
Yeah, man. This for real. Like, I hit 21 years in April.
21.
And then 21 years be April. So I'll retire next May. I'll be at 22. But they have a program. Once I come back in October, I'm gonna kind of be in like this transitioning program. So the last 6-7 months of my career, I'll still be active duty, but I won't be going in every day. I'll be doing like a transitioning program, so more free time to come. Awesome. We'll have a good time when I get back for sure. We got to link up at a game or something, man. We got to make it happen. Sure. Yeah.
Well, be safe out there, and thanks for your service. So
thank you.
We appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
Absolutely.
But yeah, man. But other than that, guys, tell the people where they can find you. Austin.
You can find me on Twitter at CookieAustin2.
All right, Josh.
You can find me with the envy of taking them shots.
You know what it is. Bang that
bitch. No, who is Josh Senior on X?
All right, Harish.
Hey, you can find me on Twitter. The Uncle Gandhi. I just forgot for a second. And then also tomorrow, if you guys aren't busy, you can find me and my co-host on the Texas Longhorn Fan Battle podcast. We'll actually be doing a live bracket for the NCAA tournament. Also, join our bracket challenge. Favorite winner gets a $50 gift card.
You're in Texas, right, Harish? Austin?
Yeah, I'm in Austin. Yep.
Cool. I'm in San Antonio, so we're gonna have to link when I get back, bro.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, dope.
So, yep.
Yep. And you can find me at CJ Colts fan or fighting the urge to take a shot because of moves not made. So with that being said, we will be back next week.
Oh, one thing.
Hopefully in brighter spirits. Go ahead, Harish.
One last thing.
But we like the group we have.
All right, we're good.
Cool.
I mean, you're not lying. You got a good group right here, man. You got a good group. So
We do have a good group. I like you guys a lot. You guys are cool.
Hilarious.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate it, Harish. Even though you've been torturing me with that bullshit this whole entire episode. But listen, everybody have a great week. We will see you next week. And as always, just remember, Sam loves Jalen Ramsey.